Well, some serious stuff here. We've all heard about the home foreclosure crisis and seen what it has meant to this country. The question now is, what did we learn from it? And could foreclosure ever be a good thing for a homeowner? Joining me now to talk more about this is attorney and author Teisha Powell. Welcome to Ebru today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me on the show.
All right, well, we all know that the foreclosure issue is sort of what precipitated the economic downturn here in this country going back about 4 or 5 years. But are there any potential advantages of losing your home? Is there any, silver lining to all this?
There pretty much is, because first of all, people who are losing their homes, they're underwater, meaning that the property is a lot less than the mortgage. So you're losing a bad investment. Also the stress. Most people are up at night, can't sleep, they have to rob from Peter to pay Paul. That's all done away with. You don't have to worry about that anymore. And you get to learn from your mistake. I mean, most people bought into these subprime loans and they did no money down. You really can't purchase a home with no money down. So those are the good stuff. You get some lessons from it.
Right, something to the old adage that you sort of get what you pay for, and if you don't pay for anything, you're not going to get for anything except for debt and headache. So what potentially are the disadvantages of losing your home? You just outlined the advantages.
Well, of course, the lender is definitely going to be nagging the homeowner to either get out of the property or to start making a payment. So there could be a lot of stress with debt collection. Also as well, there's still a stigma attached to being in foreclosure. I mean, some people are afraid to tell their boss, or they don't want their neighbors to know as well. And the credit, I mean, you do lose a lot of credit scores, so that's hard to build back. And you're going to lose the home. I mean, this may be the community that you loved. If you have children, you have to probably pull them out of school. So there are some advantages to being in foreclosure.
So out of all of this, obviously this has affected many people in the United States and is still affecting people. What can people learn? I mean, what is it that people can take away from this kind of an experience?
Well, you probably need to get a home that you can afford. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. Try to get a down payment down as well. Also recognize that homes are just not an ATM. And 4 years ago, people were just refinancing, cashing out, taking all these exotic vacations, buying all these exotic cars. I mean, that's just not realistic. So I think we need to be more practical as things go by, that, your home is something to live in, and it may not return 27 or 127% per month on the investment.
Well, this is obviously talking about, mortgages and buying homes. What about sort of the rental market, and how does that relate to people that are sort of thinking about potentially buying a home but see some of the pitfalls of foreclosure and thinking about, maybe I should rent versus buy? Where does that play in?
Well, they could do, there's a lot of calculators online. You got to figure out whether renting is a long term. If it's long term, don't do it. Also, too, probably rent for a couple years to see what you can afford comfortably, because it looks good. Most people are emotionally attached to a home, but they can't afford it in the long haul. So renting does work out good if you want to be a homeowner.
Where do you see this going? I mean, it's 2012 now. We're almost at the end of the year. We have a president that could be in office for another 4 years, or somebody new that the country might elect. Where do you see this whole industry going 2 years from now, say?
Well, unfortunately, I think foreclosure will be around for another 2-3 years. I think that everybody's going to affect the whole community, because if your neighbor is losing a home to foreclosure, or a short sale, then it's going to drag the properties down. So I think that people need to be practical, that you probably, if you're buying a home and you want to flip it quickly, that's not going to work. Make sure you can afford the home, make sure you have a good job before you even think about buying a home. But I think we have probably 2-3 more years of this.
So kind of strap in and, sort of get yourself situated economically and see if you can't just make sure that you have a good job, keep a good job for a while, rent if you have to, and then plan for the future down the line.
Pretty much. Don't put too much stress on now. No more flipping. Just be very conservative for the next 2-3 years.
All right. You heard it here. Teisha Powell, be conservative. We appreciate it. Thanks so much. The good, the bad, and the ugly on home foreclosures.